So today we're going to look at how people learn best, so that we can design a very good learning experience for our students. Secondly, we're going to look at fundamentals of instructional design. Just fundamentals because I only have 2 hours, so it's like an introduction to you. And then most importantly, how we use them. Yeah. So I'm going to like breeze through whatever theories there are, just to set the ground for us to use instructional design knowledge. Okay. So next slide. So this is what we're going to do today. Now, I want all of you to go back in time, yeah, rewind and think about the best learning memory that you have ever had in your life, the best learning experience for you, either as a kindergarten student, as a primary school student, as a, matriculation student, where any point in life, the best memory of learning that you have in your whole life. What is it that you remember the most about that session? Think of it. Maybe it's in a BM class, it's in a math class, English class, wherever. What was the best memory of it? What did you remember the most? It's like vivid in your mind. Okay, type it into the chat box and you see how you reflect upon that particular memory. Okay, you as a student or not as a teacher. Kalau as a teacher, a bit short sendiri sikit. So as a student, what was the best memory of learning that you have ever had in your life? Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds for this activity. 3, 2, 1, go. We've already got one from Hanisa. Singing in English class. Yep, English class is like, where we do a lot of vocal training. Using microscope in biology, my BM class in standard 4. Yeah, Yoka, okay? What did you remember about that BM class? All right. History class, hafal script. Wow. Science class, how pollination works. There is bees flying. Okay. And from 4 and 5, wow, it's moving very fast. My history teacher brought along a keris, and eating nasi lemak while enjoying records management class in university. All right. Art class, drawing everything around you. Teacher dressing style, tip top. Okay. Math during primary school. My kindergarten, nice Milo. Wow. Logas Pati. That's way back when the Milo really is, getting to you. Rotan, my goodness, repetitive writing activities running everywhere in my class. Okay. Wow, you all have got a very good, memory of your learning. And I'm sure that those experiences are very, very, valuable for you. Rock music is an elective course during undergrad year. Wow. Pondok-pondok in Sains Rumah Tangga class. That's interesting, Abdul Hadi Abraza. You pick pondok-pondok in Sains Rumah Tangga class. Excellent. Reading at the library. Excellent. Dr. Awani's storytelling, BM class 5. Now, most of you, what you have written, if you notice, only like 2 or 3 commented about the content, right? The pollination, but the rest of you, you remembered what you went through, what happened in class, what you ate, you remembered the teacher. Therefore, what we remember is experience, right? Learning is an experience. However, when we are teaching, when we prepare for class, most of the time we worry about content first. Okay, we forget to prepare for the experience. when in fact, experience is what students will remember. Okay? Learning instructional design was initially coined, the term instructional design was initially coined to prepare teachers to teach, to instruct. Because when in an online environment, right, like I said, nothing can be blurry, nothing can be left to be assumed. So we teach teachers how to instruct so that learners can receive the instruction and make their learning process easier. But this field has evolved when we learn that learning is actually the whole experience, not just about content delivery, not just about making instructions clear, but rather giving learners that experience that will stick in their hearts, yeah, not just in the brain, but in their hearts. Therefore, even when we design for learning online, we can't see the students. We still need to create that learning experience that is memorable for them. All right. There's a very good question from Prof. Shabani. How to embed experience in content? Now, this is where the design part comes in. Yeah. So there's two dimensions here when we talk about teaching and learning. We have the content and we have the experience part. Yeah. The experience make a difference. That is what will stick with the students. And content will be remembered if the experience is a good one, like all of you went through. Okay. And Albert Einstein said, learning is experience, everything else is information. Yeah, this is a very long debate about students only learn for exams, only learn for memorizing and all that, because we left out the experience part. That's why when we ask children, especially what subject do you like the most in school, most of the time they would answer PJ, right? PE, physical education. Why? Because they get to play. Because play is how kids remember. Lo and behold, as adults, we need to play as well for us to have that impactful experience. Yeah. So keeping this in mind, when we reflect upon how we learned when we were younger, this is what needs to be brought back when we design learning for the higher institution. Okay, I actually was a kindergarten teacher. That's why, most of the way that I teach and stuff like that is sort of influenced by the experience, as a kindergarten teacher and also a year one teacher. Because the younger they are, the more concrete experience we have to give them. It is literal. And when I began to teach in higher education, I found that this approach, this being very clear and being very fundamental, helps that experience part, help them engage. All right. So now I would like to ask you this question: as children, how did we learn? Okay. From reflecting from the experiences that you have shared with me. Yes, by playing. We learn the best through playing. Now, when we play, what happens? What do we use when we play? What is it that we use when we play? Which part of the body do we use when we play? Psychomotor, holistic, yep. Cognitive. We actually use the whole body, all of our senses. Excellent, Dr. Azlin Hilma. Hello. Okay. Now, when we use all of our senses, We use our sight, we use our sound, smell, taste, touch, and sometimes we use our sixth sense. Yeah, as kids, we have sixth sense. Yeah, we use all of our senses. That means we are absorbing everything from the learning environment through these multiple channels. Yeah, the channels of learning are all open when we were children. Yeah, because we allow information or knowledge to flow through all of our parts. Yeah, even our spiritual part, even our emotional part, we let them seep through. It is effortless. But when we start going to school, what does the teacher tell us to do on the first day of standard 1? The teacher tells us to sit down, keep quiet, and listen, right? All of these other senses are shut down and we are only allowed to switch on our ears, our hearing. That's all we're allowed to switch on. That is why that channel has been overloaded. When they come to university, they don't want to listen anymore because it's overloaded. Yeah, for 12 years, they've only been allowed to get knowledge through listening. Okay, we forget to involve the whole self in the learning process. It's probably getting better now that we are all educated about how education should be, you know, with all of the active learning strategies and all. This is where it comes from. Active learning strategies, student-centered learning, project-based learning, experience-based learning, whatever based learning, it is based upon the fact that we need to switch on all of our senses in order to maximize how we learn. Yeah, we do not want to stop any parts to receive learning. Okay, there is a hadith by Rasulullah SAW that says, you know, part of it says, knowledge or ilm is like the rain. It's like rain. Therefore, what is rain? Rain is water. Water flows. It flows to the ground and it helps, you know, plants grow, and it, you know, it brings benefits. Therefore, the feature of knowledge is actually it flows like water. What happens when water cannot flow in one way? For example, you know, the water is flowing here and then it stops. It cannot go. It doesn't just stop. It will find a way to seep through around this phone, for example. It will find a way to flow. This is how, yeah, we need to treat knowledge. Therefore, when we design our instruction, you know, we cannot just use one channel. Like for example, right now, I am using, you know, myself, I'm using my hand gestures and stuff like that. I'm using my slides, I'm using the chat box, yeah? Because sometimes some people just can't listen. They need to see. Some people need to, you know, do something. They need to type, they need to express themselves. That's how they learn. We need to keep all of these channels open, especially when we're teaching online. Yeah, we need to find a way on how to keep all of the senses open to receive knowledge. All right. Any questions at this point? Okay. You know, some of you need to stretch a little bit, so I will stop talking for about 20 seconds to allow for any questions. All right, so I think there's no questions at this point in time, but there are a lot of comments. Yes, so true, abroad is different though, it's very child-centered. Yeah, but we're getting there, we're getting there. We have taken, you know, a lot of consideration to include active learning and all that in our teaching and learning. Okay, so now that we know how we learn best, you know, I know it's probably too simplistic to say, you know, yeah, we learn through all of our senses. it is not simplistic. It has always been taken for granted. Yeah, that we need to open up all of the senses in the learning experience. Now that we know how people learn best, now what is this field called instructional design? So George Simmons said, instructional design is the art and science of creating an instructional environment and materials. Okay, there are two important words here. Okay, I'm going to use the annotate. Instructional environment, okay, environment, and materials. See, I did work as two. Environment and materials that will bring the learner from state of not being able to accomplish certain tasks to the state of being able to accomplish those tasks. It is based on theoretical and practical research in the areas of cognition, educational psychology, and problem solving. This is what instructional design is. In simpler words, it's planning. Untuk cikgu, buat lesson plan. As simple as that. That's what instructional design is. Okay? But there are a lot of theories, a lot of studies, research has been done in order to make instructions optimal for the best learning experience. Okay? Switch off the annotate. Now, these are some of the instructional design model examples. Okay, the first one I'm going to show you is ADDIE. Now, instructional design, because it is a scientific process, therefore there are a lot of models that have been developed by researchers and also practitioners in the field. Instructional design is very popular among corporate training, because in academia, we have the education, the academic faculty, but in industrial training or in the corporate training, they have professionals who are professional instructional designers to make training effective for the staff and for the employees. Okay, so these are some of the models. Now, ADDIE is one of the most popular, most universal models that's being used. Okay, it says that instructional design has to go through these 5 phases. First phase is analysis, meaning we have to learn everything and anything related to that particular module that we want to design. Okay, we need to know who the students are. We need to know who, we need to know the content. We need to know the resources that's available first before we go onto the drawing board and actually design the experience. Okay. Second phase is design. This is where we put all of our, learning objectives, and then what are the activities that we want to do, what kind of assessments that we want to put. This is where we design. And then we develop the learning materials. That's phase 3. Phase 4 is we actually implement the module, we teach, and then we get feedback, and then we improvise. And then there's the 5th phase is evaluation, evaluating the module. Yeah, not evaluating how students learn, not the grading, but actually evaluating the effectiveness of the whole module. So this is ADDIE. Now that's the process that we go through when we are designing this particular module or a course that we want to teach. Okay, so that's the first model. How many of you have heard of ADDIE? Just say yes in the chat box. Yeah, okay, great, excellent, thank you. And then there's another module. Okay, the next module is Assure. Now, Assure module was developed to help teachers in deciding what learning materials to use in the classroom. Okay, and Assure says first you have to analyze learner characteristics. Who are you teaching? And then once you know your learners, then state the objectives of the lesson. What is the outcome that we want the students to achieve? Thirdly, we select or modify or design the materials that we can use. And then fourth, we utilize the materials, we use them in the classroom. And then The fifth step is we require learner responses. How do they respond to the materials that we have designed? And then finally, of course, again, we need to evaluate the whole module. Now, this is assured. Okay, this is how teachers actually use instructional design in developing their learning materials for the students. Okay, so that's assured. How many of you have never heard of assured? Type into this chat box no. Okay, if you have never heard, say no. Oh, tedious. Yep. Being a teacher is like, very tedious work, definitely. Okay, so this is something new for most of you. Yeah. Assure is very popular among the lower education. Yeah. Yes, you did not hear it, but you practice it. Yeah, definitely. It's just that Assure is more popular for teachers, like I said. Then the next example is backward design. Backward design, I'm sure that some of you have heard of this. What this means is we design our instruction, the way that we teach, last. First, we identify the desired results first. Second, we determine acceptable evidence, meaning we determine the assessment. And then finally, we design the learning experience and instruction. Yes, yep. Begin with the end in mind. Yeah. So this is backward design. Yeah. This is similar to OBE, outcome-based education, because we identify the end game first, right? Identifying desired results, determine acceptable evidence, and plan learning experience and instruction. This is used mostly in higher education. Okay, and then another example is the ARTS motivational model. Okay, now ARTS. Who knows who developed ARTS? Type it into the chat box. Tahu tak siapa yang developed ARTS motivational model? Yeah, ada tak yang tahu? If you don't know, put a question mark in the chat box so I know. Okay, so yay, thank you. It's so fast, it's so fast. Somebody answered Keller. Thank you so much. Muhammad Shah Kamaruzaman. Yes, it was developed by John Keller. Now, I personally like this model, okay, because it deals with a lot with the student perspective. Okay, ARTS motivational model said, first, we need to gain the attention of the students. Second, we have to make the materials relevant to the students. Third, when they find that the materials are relevant, it will build their confidence with the knowledge that they have, meaning they can use the knowledge that they have gained or the skills that they have learned. They can use it confidently. When they have gained confidence, they will be satisfied with your instruction and they will come back to you for more. They want more. And the cycle goes on and on. Yeah. No, it's not Helen Keller. It's John Keller. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not Helen Keller. Yeah, it's John Keller. So that's the ARCS motivational model. It's got a lot to do with the response from the learners. Okay, great. So, in conclusion, that's my own conclusion. I mean, it's not the conclusion of the workshop. I have 2 hours with you, okay? So, to me, this is what I say. Therefore, designing learning experiences is actually a scientific process with artistic and aesthetic touches to ensure learners are provided with the most optimum circumstances for learning. Okay, so this is, in short, it is science and art, okay, all in the name of the students, the learners, so that they get the most from us lah. Okay, teaching does not necessarily mean learning happens on the student side. Okay, so we have to remember that. What we can do is we provide the most optimum learning environment and learning materials to assist the students to learn. That's our job. Yeah, whether they learn it or not, whether they pick it up or not, it all depends on their motivation to continue the learning process, right? So any questions at this point of time? So those were the examples. There are probably about 50 over instructional design models, and most of them, actually more than half, I think, are developed by industry practitioners for the professional or the corporate training industry. Okay? Because they use a lot of, last time when we use CDs and all that, so that's where it comes from. Okay, Hafiz Muhammad said, we tend to focus more on scientific process rather than artistic and aesthetic. Correct, correct. We actually focus on delivering the content, which chapter goes first and all that. But we forget to embed that experience inside. So that experience is that artistic and aesthetic part, deciding what kind of assessment we give. Is it simply asking students to record a video? Is it simply asking students to do infographic? It's not as simple as that, because we need to put a reason as to why we choose certain activities. There is an aesthetic value to it, because when there is an aesthetic value, students get motivated to complete the assignment. For example, my 15-year-old daughter, she's doing online class, and then the assignment that was given to her was, building a portfolio for her sastra class. So when the teachers said, please, design a portfolio, it has to be handwritten, she cannot type it. So you can use creativity and all that. The kids get excited to do it because they are allowed to explore their creative side. They're allowed to use colored paper and visualize the novel. They get to draw and all that. So that's the aesthetic part. I mean, the teacher could have simply asked them to write a book report. So choosing between a book report and a creative folio, that's the aesthetic touch. Yeah. That gives that experience. But if it is simply a book report, write a summary, who are the characters and all that, it conveys the message, but does it give that experience, the aesthetic experience that we want? All right. Okay, thank you for that comment, Hafiz. Yes, experience is equally important as content. Definitely, it has to go hand in hand. Yeah. So now we are going to go into the using part. Okay. So very brief just now, the models and theories, whatnot. But now, how do we use it? Okay, so now everybody stretch a little bit, because this is the part where you're gonna do something, okay? Taking from Eddie, I'm gonna mix and match the models a little bit, okay? Taking from Eddie, the first step, analysis, even from Assure, remember, analyzing learner characteristics, okay? Whatever we do first, we need to analyze, meaning we need to do a little bit of research sikit lah. So teaching is also research. That's why we have action research. In education, we have something called action research, yeah, where we reflect upon our teaching practices. So first, analysis. To me, I've simplified the analysis part so that all educators can understand what to do. If we were to follow the theory and the process from ADDIE model, it is very complex. There's a lot of parts that we need to take care of before we even begin to decide how to teach in the class. So I've simplified it into these 5 questions. Analysis. Number 1, who am I teaching? Second, what am I teaching? Third, why do they or our students have to learn it? 4, where am I teaching it? And 5, when am I teaching? So these are the 5 questions in analysis. Actually, this is very fundamental. Who am I teaching? Now type into your chat box, into the chat box, next semester, who are you going to teach? Okay. Logaswati, the how will come in the design part. So in the analysis, we keep to the 5 questions first. This is the analysis part. Okay. So the how will come from the result of this analysis. I hope that answers your question, Logaswati. Yeah. Okay. So now type into the chat box. Next semester, who are you teaching? Next semester. Okay, postgraduate students, Asasi, undergrad, UG final semester. Okay, Dr. Rishawati, UG final semester students, very specific. So now you have to be specific when you answer this question. Okay, like Muhammad Zulkarnain, semester 1 undergrad. Okay, what is their major? How old are they? What's the age range? Because some students are older than others. What is their prior learning? What is their prior knowledge? What do they bring with them? What courses have they taken? Yeah. What device do they have right now? So as detailed as you possibly can. Gather as much information as you possibly can about who you are teaching. They are not simply first year undergraduate, but which major? Do they come from matriculation? Do they come from diploma? You know, what is the courses that they have taken before this? You know, and also, like I said, right now, the important thing is the device. Okay, what is the device that they have, right? Because that will influence how you design your materials. Right, accounting for non-accounting students from various programs. Now that's very challenging, right? When you have these kinds of very diverse students, now that gives you an extra challenge. Applied linguistic students, master's level, all right, teachers taking various PG programs, semester 5. Okay, great. The more information that you have, the better it is to inform how you are going to run your classes. Okay. Second question, what am I teaching? This is not simply your subject matter, just the title. No. What is it exactly that you are teaching? For example, just now, accounting for non-accounting. What is the content? Now, this is question that you ask yourself. What's the content? You have to relook into your course outline. Apa sebenarnya isi kandungannya? Apa benda yang sebenarnya budak kena belajar ni? What is it? So, what are the learning outcomes? Do we know the course learning outcomes of this? What are they supposed to achieve at the end of the day? In general, question number 2, right? So there's a comment here in the chat box. I noticed in the United States, the teacher will always start to highlight the learning outcome of what we'll be teaching. Students will say it aloud because to keep their mind focused. So I believe we need to use this approach because even though students have access to syllabus, but very little students know what is the LO. Yeah, thank you, Mama Muhaizam. I was going to touch upon that when I talk about Ghani later. Okay, thank you for bringing it up. So we will definitely elaborate about that. Okay, so the what. We as lecturers, we need to be clear ourselves of the outcome. What are the students able to do with the knowledge that we're going to give them? And this one, we have not come into really defining the specific learning outcomes yet. No, this is us putting ourselves in that context of the student. What is it that they're going to learn? Generally, apa yang diorang boleh buat lepas ni? Kalau diorang belajar, contohnya, kalau saya ajar tentang educational philosophy, falsafah, pendidikan, kebahasaan, apa budak boleh buat dengan falsafah ni? Kenapa sebenarnya, you know, brings me to the next question. Why do they have to learn this? What is the big why that they are taking this course, right? We have to visualize that, yeah? And then we go into the logistics questions. Where am I teaching it? Am I going to teach it using Google Classroom? Am I going to use it? Am I going to use the university LMS? Am I going to put it on Moodle? Is there going to be a hybrid? We don't know. You know, where? The logistics, the location. Am I going to teach it from my room? Am I going to go to campus to log in from there? Where? Because where will determine how best you yourself can give that experience to the student. Okay? Finally, when am I teaching it? So for now, in the context of you know, remote teaching and learning, the when, is it going to be asynchronous? Is it going to be synchronous? If it's synchronous, is it in the morning, at night? When is the internet stable? So all of these questions we actually do ask, but we have not really put it down on paper to inform our teaching properly. We usually just, okay lah, ajar pagi lah, ajar malam lah. But why? Why do you choose to ajar malam? Why do you choose to ajar pagi? Why do you choose to do synchronous? Why do you choose to do asynchronous? Okay. So now this is the analysis part. And we need to determine all of these answers to these questions before we even decide the how part, how we want to teach. Get all of these logistics out of the way first. Now, with all of this information in mind, then we can go and decide, okay, this is how I'm going to do student-centered learning, I'm going to do active learning, I'm going to do whatever kind of learning there is. Get all of this out of the way first. Okay? So I will pause for 20 seconds for any comments or any questions that you have thus far. Okay. Right. Question? Yeah. Okay. All right, if you're still with me, type into the chat box, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, great. One tip, yeah. This is how you can gauge whether your students are with you or not. Because, you know, okay, any questions? No questions. You also want to know whether they're still there. And you want to know whether you are technically okay. Kan semalam ke the day before kan ada viral yang profesor dekat NUS ke yang dia bercakap dah 2 jam sebenarnya dia on mute, and then students tried to reach him but they couldn't reach him, right? So yeah, Logasvati, did you read about that? That was so kesian. The professor was talking to himself for 2 hours. No sound, nobody could hear him, but the students tried to reach him, but you know, it was too late. Yeah, kesian kan? Yes, very kesian. So do not let that happen to us. Penat tau bercakap kan, betul tak? Nak bercakap kat online ni, it's like after you finish a 1 hour or 2 hour class, you just want to sleep. Yeah, it's a catastrophe. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So this is one way of gauging whether your students are with you or not. You know, just type into the chat box, because the older learners from secondary school up, they do not switch on their cameras. They do not switch on their mics. And it's easier for primary students. Primary students is a different classroom management altogether, because you have to make sure that you mute them. If not, it'll be a disaster. Okay. Yes, Dr. Azlin Hilma, my friend, short sendiri sometimes, definitely. So I don't want to be short sendiri, and you know. Okay. I feel like being a DJ, yeah. At least DJ kan orang dengar kan dekat radio. Tapi ni kalau you bercakap seseorang, lepas tu you mute, aduh pengsan, penat je, sia-sia je. Okay. Now we have done with analysis. Jadi analysis tu, I'm just giving you what you can do, what is doable. I do not want you to, come up with the blueprint, which is what professional instructional designers do. They really come up with a blueprint from the analysis that they have come up with. Now we go into the design. Okay. In design, lo and behold, from all of the theories that we see that we have studied, it all comes down to these three. You have to determine these three: your learning outcome, assessment, and learning activities. Siapa boleh bagi tahu what is the famous name for these three? For these three very important things. Bloom, cross out line. Come on, keep it coming, keep it coming. What is this three? Yeah, it is in the, actually the cross out. Yes, thank you, Nurliana Bukhari. Nurliana, give yourselves a pat in the back. It's constructive alignment. Okay, good job. So everybody clap for Nurliana, yay. So constructive alignment. Jangan takut. I am not an OBE trainer from MQA, okay? The way that I see constructive alignment is from the perspective of an instructional designer. We have to be very clear of the learning outcome ourselves. Bukan simply for documentation. Tidak. Tapi daripada segi kita faham apa yang budak tu kena capai sebenarnya. That's all. And then we know how to assess them. Finally, when we know how they are supposed to achieve the learning outcomes, then we can decide what kind of learning activities we want to give them. All right, so next slide. There we go, yay, constructive alignment. Orang semua bila saya buka ni semua tu, ya Allah, OBE, nak lecturing engineering. You know, they're like, why are you bringing this up? Because it is the most important part in instructional design. Okay, so now that I have flashed you with the constructive alignment, I'm going to get all of you to practice defining learning outcomes. Now, I want to take all of you with me in my journey when I was a teacher in primary school. You have been assigned to teach this new syllabus called laundry management to 7-year-olds. 7-year-olds just satu, first grade. The class that you are going to teach is 1 hour long, just 1 hour. And it will take place online, synchronous, using a video conferencing tool. I want all of you to now define one learning outcome for this laundry management course that you're going to teach to 7-year-olds, online, synchronous for 1 hour. Okay, type into the chat box. To sort white and colored clothes. Yep, definitely. Thank you, Dr. Fauzia. Lagi? Is that Prof. Fauzia? Okay, and then proper technique of pouring soap powder. Wow, to be able to tidy up their clothes. Great. Use the right detergent. Yeah, so choosing the right detergent, right? And using the right detergent. Great. And lagi tak? One learning outcome. Level the water. Okay, to on the washing machine, to operate the washing machine. Understand the use of washing machine function, use the washing machine, steps to wash the clothes, steps to manage laundry, to know the exact amount to pour, okay, to know the exact what to pour in. Is it the soap or is it the softener? Okay. Sorting, demonstrate the basic of laundry management. Okay. Dr. Sobihatun, what is the basic of laundry management? Which part? Okay. Dr. Hafiza, understand why do you need to do. Okay, now, great. If I were to offer this course, would you sign up your kids? Yes? Okay. So now, I would like to congratulate you for being clear with your learning outcomes. You can improve. Those who wrote understand. How do you measure understand? How do the learners tell you that they understand? Okay. When defining learning outcomes, we must be clear. We cannot be blurry or we cannot leave room for assumptions, just like the word study tadi. It's very clear, ada ke? Tak ada. Macam mana nak tengok, nak baca ke apa? Tak nampak. So the word understand, it is a Bloom's taxonomy level, but there are verbs that you can use so that you know how your students will demonstrate that they understand. Okay, that's the whole idea. Okay, to describe the reason of why laundry apa benda. So maybe students will be able to explain the importance of sorting colors. So students will be able to tell you why is it important to sort colors. Okay, they can explain rather than understand, right? Students will be able to perform the washing of laundry according to its steps. They can perform washing the clothes and wash clothes using what? Using the machine, using their hands. So those have to be very specific. Okay. Now, why do I choose 7-year-olds as your audience? Because this age group has to be very concrete. You really need to know what you're going to teach them and what is it that they have to be able to do. Okay. Now, transferring this to your own courses, you have to be very clear. Now, this is the whole idea of OBE or MQA, whatever. Kita ni kena clear betul-betul. Student ni boleh buat apa. Contohnya tadi yang pasal falsafah ni tadi. Students will be able to understand the national philosophy of education. So what? So what if they understand? Is it going to be able to be translated in the way that they teach? Right? So I have to be very clear. Students will be able to incorporate physical activities in the classroom based on the call of FPK for a holistic student development. So they know that in the falsafah kata kita kena apa ni yang Jerry tu, jasmani, emosi, rohani, intellect dan sebagainya. So they are able to use that philosophy in designing their lessons in the classroom by incorporating different elements. So now I know why they need to learn this. So the why, the big why question is answered. Okay. So that's why learning outcome is so important. Now imagine if you were going to enter a race, nak lumba lari. Okay, nak masuk lumba lari. You also nak masuk lumba lari ni. Apa perkara pertama yang kena tahu pasal perlumbaan tersebut? Before you sign up, what is it that you need to know? Before you sign up for the lumba lari. The prize? Oh my goodness. Oh wow, very materialistic. How far? Yes, the distance. Thank you so much. The jarak first, because you need to know. You boleh lari ke jauh tu sebelum dapat prize. Ni tengok prize. Oh, prize dia 1,000, tapi kena lari 100 kilometer. Nak ke? Okay. So you need to know how far first, right? You need to know the end game, the finish line tu kat mana. So that you tahu macam mana you nak train. What kind of training do you need to go through? If you were to run a 100 meter punya sprint, nak kena lari laju, you kena build muscle, betul? Sebab muscle tu yang akan membuatkan kita laju. So kalau tengok siapa yang Usain Bolt, tengok badan dia besar kan, sebab muscle dia besar, tu sebab dia boleh lari laju. 100 meter sprint. Tapi kalau you nak lari 42 km marathon, you tengok badan apa ni, Eliud Kipchoge, di marathon world champion. Berapa banyak marathon dia dah menang. Badan dia kecil je sebab dia nak lari 42 km. Tak boleh nak jadi, kalau Usain Bolt lari 42 km, dia termengah, tak boleh sebab badan dia terlalu besar. Okay. See the different distance? Because you are clear. You nak pergi mana? You nak pergi 100 meter, you nak pergi 42 km. You nak student tu buat apa? Are they able to just, know for the sake of knowing the philosophy, or you want them to be able to apply the philosophy? Which one? Okay. Nak lagi clear. Kalau kita lari contohnya 42 km marathon tadi, jauh kan? Jauh nak sampai. You nak menang ke? Ataupun you nak bagi habis je? Two different outcomes altogether. Even though it's the same distance. Same distance juga. Tapi matlamatnya apa? Nak menang ataupun nak sampaikan sahaja. It's different between students who are going for mastery, or are they going to just pass your course just for the sake of passing? Two different objectives altogether. And that determines how we want to evaluate them and how we want to teach them. So that comes to the next activity. Untuk tadi laundry management tu tadi, yang you all kata nak suruh dia orang sort laundry, nak suruh belajar macam mana nak apa tu, they're supposed to be able to operate the machine and all that. So how are you going to assess them? Now remember, this is an online class. How are you going to assess those students with your learning outcomes study? Mana? Type into your chat box. Okay? How do you want to do the assessment activity for them? Play game. Okay, macam mana nak play game? What kind of game? Right? Video record them doing it. Okay, role play. Yep, they can role play in front of the computer. Ask them to record how they fold laundry or stuff like that. Okay, good. Again, using specified rubric. Yep, definitely we need to have a rubric. That's a very important assessment tool. Have a picture of the laundry with the laundry basket and the clothes everywhere on the floor. Okay, and then apa lagi? Macam mana nak assess? Dia fikir sikit kan? Your assessment, yep, scan, sketch the flow. So kids love to draw, yep. Quiz, depending on the learning outcome. Quiz maybe, you can give them pictures of different kinds of soap and they can choose. Okay, demo a tutorial, wow. 7-year-olds would love to do that. They would love to teach their peers, right, to draw the steps. Great. The important point is when we assess, we must assess the learning outcome. Go back to the learning outcome and we assess it. For example, the children will be able to sort the laundry based on colors. Yeah. You can ask them to demonstrate in front of you. You can ask them to video record, no problem. But the intention is to assess that particular learning outcome. Okay. Okay. So when we have determined the learning assessment, now if you notice, we're using the backward design. If you notice, okay? Finally, now we are going to decide on suitable learning activity. How are you going to teach this? How are you going to teach laundry management to 7-year-olds online? Remember, this is synchronous. So macam mana nak ajar? The teacher send dirty laundry to student and student send back to teacher the laundry. Ask mom to record the cleaning process. So Izwan, Nizal, do they send back the dirty laundry or do they send back the cleaned one? Okay. So the teacher will send the dirty laundry to the student. Wow. Memang gigih cikgu ni. Sing along with the teacher. Alright, Dr. Hafiza. What do you sing? Okay, sing about what? About the step. Okay, yep, children remember through the song. That is a great learning experience for 7-year-olds. Show them pictures and do matching activities. Boleh, boleh. Yep, you can do that, definitely. Create cartoon, okay, show the video, use Powtoon on the steps, then move step by step to the student. Okay, great. So now, taking from your responses study, which one is the simplest and most impactful that you can do? Remember, this is 7-year-olds. It is online, synchronous in front of the camera with the video on. Which one is the simplest one to do? Sing, okay? You can sing the steps. Yeah. Okay, now, teacher demo. I like Iskandar Adun's answer. TikTok, ya Allah. I do. Okay. Can I follow your account, Nur Hafiza? Okay, now. Teacher demonstrate. That is probably the most simplest thing to do, betul tak? Cikgu bawa je kamera dia, pergilah dekat washing machine tu. Okay, macam ni, tengok. Buat macam ni. Okay, semua orang, ask everyone to go to their own particular washing machine dekat rumah. Okay, okay, semua ada washing machine. Okay, ada. Okay, sini tekan. Macam ni nak buat, macam ni nak buat. If you were to show a video, number one, videos lag on video conferencing tools. Yeah, because it is very heavy. It solely depends upon the bandwidth. And number two, you have to choose the video. You tak puas hati dengan video tu, you buat pula video, which takes time. Now, learning activities must be simple enough for you to prepare, and it must be simple enough for the students to receive. Okay? Do we take into the parent support and or objection? Macam ni lah, kalau parents sebenarnya tak tahu dia nak, dia sendiri tak tahu dia nak apa. Jadi, sometimes we as teachers, we have to educate the parents as well. Okay? Teacher can teach to his or her children and ask them to teach the students. These young students will take interest in learning. That's a very interesting idea. We can definitely try that. Sat kena beli mesin sama macam cikgu. Okay. So we have to put, all of these provisions, okay, kat mesin ada button on. Ada tak? Nampak tak? Dekat you punya mesin tu button on. Nampak cikgu? Okay, on. Macam tu lah. Jadi, the point here is learning activities should not burden you or the student. Number two, it must be very interesting. It must be interactive. Okay, learning activity. Okay, saya boleh je. Okay, now, I can actually open up a Google document for today's activity, and I can put you in groups, yeah, using the whatever breakout room function, and ask you to design this, lesson plan for doing laundry management, and then bring you all back to the general discussion group, and then we talk about the learning activities that you have designed, blah, blah, blah. I can do that. That is actually suitable for face-to-face. But when we teach online, it is not suitable. I have tried it, and it has proven to be a failure when I do breakout room activities for workshops like this. So what I have redesigned is what I did with you, going through each element one at a time. I ask you to define the learning outcomes first. Okay, you abide, blah, 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 blah. We discuss learning outcome. And then I ask you to decide on the assessment. You guys type. And then blah, blah, blah. Lepas tu baru, so I've chunked it down. I find this easier and most effective, and I get a lot of engagement. When I did the breakout room thing, it was a failure. Only 1 or 2 groups would do it. The rest would, I don't know, mungkin pergi masak sekejap ke apa ke, I don't know. Yeah, because I can't really monitor all the breakout rooms. And also there was another activity. similar activity, but I used brushing teeth instead of laundry management. There were teachers who said that, how to teach, I'm going to show them a cartoon video on how to brush teeth. And I said, that is not a good idea. Because why? Students want to engage with you. If they were to engage with the cartoon, they would be on their YouTube, right? When they are with you, this is the best way to teach kids how to brush their teeth. You take your own toothbrush. Okay, kids, everyone now hold your toothbrush like this. This is the way to this is how you brush your teeth. And then you go circular motion. Now everybody follow me. That is more effective than using the cartoon because you want the kids to engage with you. The kids want to see their teacher. Now, the same goes for lecturers. Ada yang cakap, penat lah lecturer nak buat video sendiri, pakai je lah video yang ada dekat YouTube. Yes, mix. The students need to engage with you. You are the lecturer. So some parts, you need to video record yourself if you are doing asynchronous. If you're doing synchronous, you need to engage with your student. Okay? So you see, learning activities need not be complicated. If you do not need to take them out of WebEx or out of Zoom, you don't have to take them out of WebEx or Zoom. Taking them out meaning going to other applications like, Kahoot lah, Precedes lah, pula. Sebab that is a little bit more technical and it requires, a little bit of literacy, switching from application to application, and it requires bandwidth, blah, blah, blah. If you can just have 1 hour engagement with your student like this, right, engaging with the chat box going on, banyak conversation and all that, that is a good learning experience already. Okay? So you need to look at learning activities as something that is not troublesome, that you don't have to learn so many tools sebenarnya. Tapi cara you olah aktiviti tersebut. Okay, just like the laundry thing. You can just take baju depan you, ambil kamera. Okay, macam ni kita lipat baju. Okay, sama-sama buat. Boleh. Right? And when talking about higher education, we can do like what we are doing right now. Okay, we're engaging in the chat box. I know there's a lot of conversation going around here. Yeah, switching tools takes time, and you want that 1 hour lecture. Kalau you punya kelas, I'm not sure how UUM is, but in my kuliah, my subject, I have a 3-hour stretch of class. Satu kali ajar 3 jam. I can't be doing this for 3 hours. It's so tiring and student pun macam awak penat ni madam. I have to chunk it up. I have to compact, make it concise. 1 hour cukup lah for this, live engagement. Then after that, we can do it, asynchronously and all that. So we've learned throughout the remote teaching and learning experience. But what you do in that 1 hour has to give that experience, engaging experience. Okay. If you want to take them out, do it masa asynchronous lah. Okay. Buat sebelum kelas, and then you have the class. What after class? Example, nanti kan I tunjuk my lesson plan punya example. Okay. So now, this is my example. Contoh ya, I'm teaching about active learning strategies. This is my learning outcome. So this is for one class. Students will be able to explain various active learning strategies, right? Now you see I have this, apa tu nama? Terminologies. Pre-live, nampak I tukar color lah. Kali hijau tak nampak sangat. Pre-live, nampak? And I have this live session. Okay, thank you, Dr. Johanim. Thank you for being here. Who's live? Okay. Learning activities, pre-live. Students to watch video on active learning prior to synchronous session. Students document active learning strategies in their e-portfolio. So they have an e-portfolio for my class. How I assess? I will look at how they document that active learning strategies from the video that I have given them. Okay. And then second learning outcome, students will be able to choose a suitable learning, active learning strategy to assist learners in achieving a specific learning outcome. So I'm going to do this in the live session because they have already learned about active learning in the asynchronous discussion on various active learning strategies. And then we want to look at different LOs and different active learning that can be implemented. So how do I assess? This is going to be a group discussion activity, given various LOs and decide which AL strategy can be used. So this is how I use my live session. And then finally, students will be able to incorporate active learning strategies in their lesson plans. I call this post-live. Still alive, masih bernafas. Tetapi this is post-live session. Students prepare a lesson plan that incorporates AL strategy. You see? Now, the pre-live is where we use the video. Okay, video. And then the post-live is where they prepare the lesson plan and they can submit it through their e-portfolio. This is where we go out of the video conferencing. Masa video conferencing too, there is an active discussion activity. So, this LO nak buat strategi apa dan sebagainya. So kat situ dia boleh debate, boleh bagi pendapat dan sebagainya in a live session. Okay, nampak ada 3 fasa di situ for my class. Pre-live, live, post-live. Semuanya alive. Jangan risau. Okay. Jadi, this is how you can strategize. Okay. Do you reward every assessment stated? Now, we will talk about assessment. Assessment sekarang ni, dulu kita punya focus is assessment of learning. It means we grade, we give them a grade. But now, in this, remote teaching, we need to shift focus from assessment of learning to assessment for learning, which means we use the activities, the assessment activities, to inform us whether students have achieved the learning outcomes that we want or not. If they don't achieve, we have to improvise. Dan kita tengok juga berapa ramai yang tak achieve. Kalau dalam ramai-ramai tu, like you have 50 students in the class, 2 of them are struggling, then you focus on the 2. The rest can move on. But if half of the class, 25 orang tak faham, jawab quiz tak betul, we have to relook into our learning materials and the content that we're delivering. That's how we use assessment now. Okay, that's our focus. Yes, we can give them grade because you know lah budak-budak kalau tak bagi grade orang takkan buat, right? So the grade is like a checkbox, a tick box for you, and bagilah dalam 5 markah. I mean, it's continuous assessment anyway, right? But the focus is to use the information from the assessment that we give to inform our teaching. All right. How do you ensure that the students are doing their group discussion? This is a live session, yeah. So, you know, I'm not sure about WebEx, but in Zoom, that's what I use. I can visit every group. I can visit each room. So I know that there's a discussion and there is an output. The output is immediately given at the end of the class. They either have their own Google Jamboard ke apa ke benda ataupun Google Doc that they can type in their discussion and it's submitted immediately through their e-portfolios ataupun through Google Classroom. Yeah. So for me, my style is I do not wait for the assessment to be turned in like next week, or I give them a few days. No, I give them a very strict deadline. And they know that in my class, there is no extension of deadline. So if they don't submit before the deadline or on the deadline, they're dead. It's as simple as that. So that's my style lah. You know, in my class. So my students are very used to that as well. Okay, so this is an example of how I use, you know, the backward design to do my lesson planning, or, you know, my instructional design lah. Okay. So, any questions, Lucky? Okay. What about giving feedback? Oh, feedback is wajib. Feedback is wajib. Students need closure. Jadi, you see, the trick in online learning or online teaching and learning is you chunk the assignments as well. Buat pendek-pendek. Kita nak mark pun senang, diorang nak buat pun senang. Macam tu. Kalau kita bagi assignment yang panjang, diorang nak siapkan satu motivasi tak ada sebab belajar online kan. So the motivation is very much deprived, I suppose. But when you give them simple and short tasks that they can complete within the same day, that is easier for you to mark as well. Sebab tak panjang sangat. Okay. Tapi kalau yang elaborate ni, mungkin you can leave it for, you know, for the real bigger assessment. You know, a project, even kalau bagi project pun, my style is I have a project log. So students will log every time that they have progress. And this is individual log. This answers the question of free riders selalunya. Kalau students kan macam complain, dia punya group member tak buat kerja lah. I have individual log for their project. So apa yang you buat? You kena ambil gambar, you kena bagi tahu your contribution. Okay. So that's how I manage it. Okay, my class is 150, mashallah. You know, I feel for you, brother Iskandar Adun. How can I manage and assess them? 150 students is a big challenge. I personally have never handled a big class like that. So, of course, my advice would be very theoretical. So I have never experienced this. But my advice from other colleagues who have done this is, again, chunk the assignments and have, you know, automated grading kind of assessments, like, you know, quiz A's, and then have that individual portfolio, okay, electronic portfolio. Jadi dia document dia punya pembelajaran. So we can, you know, we don't have to read in detail every single thing, but we do check from time to time. At least we do check. Tu je lah yang, sebab saya tak pernah handle 150, but from my friends who have handled, that's how they do it. They do not want to leave everything to the last minute, so they go in, at least kalau ada e-portfolio tu senang sikit lah, dia nak trace kan setiap student punya progress. Macam tu lah. So I'm so sorry I cannot really help you in detail, Brother Iskandar, and also those who are teaching a lot of students. Perhaps, you know, you can try things out and share with us back how is it best to manage 150 students. Thank you for the question, yeah? Individual electronic, yes, individual electronic portfolios. Peer assessment is good, it's a good practice, I've done it. It's a good practice. They are actually very brutal to their friends for some reason. You know, they're very honest. And I've done this and it works for my class. It does work for the peer assessment. But don't do it all the time lah. You know, nanti diorang dah agak lah, dia mesti peer assessment. For some activities, you can do peer assessment. You know best which ones. For me, the project progress punya feedback is a peer review punya exercise. Jadi I am not the only one who is, saying that, you need to improve this, you need to improve that. It's not, it is from the peers as well. I do a lot of the rewalk kind of strategy, and because their portfolios are public and can be assessed by their peers, so they can go in each other's portfolios and just comment. So no problem. Hope that helps. Yeah. Okay. So next, this is one instructional design model by Garnier. Actually, this is an instructional design model. Robert Garnier said that these 9 things have to happen in the classroom. First, you have to gain attention of the students. This is what we call set induction. Macam tadi saya gunakan that word search picture. That's to gain your attention, to get them excited about the class. And then I inform you. Remember, I inform you what we're going to do today. So tadi going back to somebody's comment, saya tak ingat siapa yang komen pasal yang dekat US dia bagi tahu student apa yang kita nak belajar so that students are focused. Yes, we have to inform the students what we're going to do today because their mind will be looking for it. When we inform them, that means their minds are prepared for that lesson in the sense that they are looking for it. Dia punya analogy adalah apabila kita dah lama tak pergi berjalan-jalan kan, kita gunakan Waze untuk nak pergi ke suatu tempat yang kita tak pernah pergi. Saya call saya call Dr. Mina. Dr. Mina, I nak pergi rumah you lah, boleh tak hantar location? Lepas tu Dr. Mina, okay, I hantar location. Lepas tu saya cari. Lepas tu pusing. Apa saya sampai kat kilang tak sampai kat rumah Dr. Mina pun. The best is, okay Dr. Mina nanti saya pergi, tak tahulah bila kan habis PKP ni. So, lepas tu saya minta Dr. Mina, boleh tak doktor bagi saya gambar rumah Dr. Mina? Doktor, okay, saya hantar gambar rumah. So now, I know what to look for, right? I have the ways, yes. I know the ways will take me somewhere, but where? So with Dr. Mina's picture of her rumah, now I know exactly what I'm looking for. That is what informing students of objectives will do to the students. You give them a visualization of their destination. Habis kelas ni aku boleh buat apa sebenarnya? Yang itu yang akan attract student to stay with you because they're looking for it. Mana dia? Okay. Cikgu cakap dia nak ajar ni. My lecturer said that they're going to cover this. Where is it? So your mind will be looking for it. Okay? Step number 2. Step number 3. Now they know where they're going. We need to stimulate their prior learning. Apa yang dia dah tahu sebelum ni? What is it that they know about that particular subject? Because of that constructivist punya theory, di mana kita bila kita belajar, kita build upon what we have already known. It's scaffolding, right? So it's important to stimulate. Okay, kita belajar apa sebelum ni? The last class, what did we talk about? Okay, now we're going to talk about this. So there is a flow. The story continues. Dia mengajar ni macam storytelling sebenarnya. You're connecting the dots, right? When you have already stimulated the prior learning, now number 4, you present the content. Barulah kita ajar, okay, yang ini. Number 5, bila kita dah ajar content, we provide the learning guidance. Now we guide the students when they do their assignment, when they ask questions, we answer, okay, we keep them on track, right? And then number 6, elicit performance, they have to practice on their own. This is when we give them take-home assignments, right? Okay, sekarang ni you buat sendiri, boleh tak buat? Remember tadi ARC's punya motivational model, that confidence level, this is done at number 6. when we elicit their performance, when they can do it on their own independently, dia boleh jawab soalan, dia boleh buat project, boleh buat assignment sendiri, it builds their confidence. Then number 7, yang feedback tadi, provide feedback. So lecturer ataupun cikgu kena bagi feedback balik kepada apa yang diorang dah practice tadi on the assignment and assessments. Okay. And then number 8, you give them the real assessment to gauge their mastery level. Okay. Yang assessment of learning ni untuk nak tengok dia dah master ke belum content. And then number 9, what is important to take them away from the exam focus is to do the step number 9, which is enhance retention and transfer. Maksudnya, kita kena create satu aktiviti di mana diorang akan menggunakan the knowledge that they have gotten from that class in perhaps a real situation or in a different situation. Itu yang nombor 9. Okay? So this is what Ghani has said, what needs to happen in a learning cycle. Right? So ada 9 step dekat situ. I'm going to pause here and let you digest. Tengok balik yang ke-9 tu. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan atau apa-apa komen, boleh diajukan sekarang. I'm going to pause a little bit. Okay. Right. So now if you are okay with Ghani, type into the chat box Ghani. All right. Thank you. Great, great, great. Okay, so malam ni mimpi Ghani Ghani. Okay. Learning from all of those instructional models, from constructive alignment, from Ghani dan sebagainya, I've actually designed this myself, the learning design matrix. Okay, and I find it helpful to be shared with educators, and I have got a lot of feedback from educators who use it. They say it's very, very helpful in visualizing the lessons that they're going to do. You see here, constructive alignment tu Kejap, saya buat edit. Okay, if you see here, learning outcome, learning assessment, learning activities. Nampak Ini semua constructive alignment. Betul? Dalam satu jadual. And then of course I have my topic of the day kat sini. Okay. Now these 4, saya guna color lain. Okay. Pre-instructional. Pre-instructional, content presentation, learning, and follow through or extended. These are all from Ghani tadi. Pre-instructional ni comes from okay. The pre-instructional comes from where? From number 1, number 2, and number 3. Gain attention, inform students of objective, and stimulate recall of prior learning. Ingat So that is this one. Pre-instructional is there. Gain attention, inform objective, and stimulate recall prior learning. My content presentation is there from Ghani. Learner participation is from them being guided with their activities, and then they have to elicit performance where they do their assignment, and then from the feedback that we give them. And then finally, this is step number 9, follow through, the extended activity. Macam mana lagi kita nak suruh budak supaya dia boleh menggunakan knowledge yang dia dah dapat tu ke tempat-tempat yang lain. How do we apply it in real world situation? Perhaps we can give them a case-based learning kind of thing, or a problem-based learning kind of approach for the follow-through. Follow-through is important, or extension, because they need to transfer that theory or the formula that they have learned into a real situation. Baru dia nampak relevance of the subject matter tadi. Okay? And then for this design matrix, kita dah ada semua elemen dekat situ in designing our learning activities. Okay, now we have taken care of everything. Now we must make sure that the learning outcomes flow. Kena ada flow kat situ. 1, 2, 3, one builds upon another. Right? So when I share this with educators, they find it easier for them to visualize their class. Sekarang dia tak ada benda yang tertinggal lah. Maksudnya kadang-kadang kita take for granted the learner participation part. We just terus bagi assignment and terus jadikan dia assessment. When in fact, we have to give them some practice. We have to guide. They have to be guided juga. Okay? And the guiding part is actually where tutorials come in. You know, when the lecturer has given a certain exercise or activity, this is where tutorial comes in. So it all falls into place actually. When we look at it from the instructional design punya perspective. Okay, it's putting everything very nicely for you so that kita aware of what we're doing. I am not advocating that every lesson kita buat lesson plan macam ni, bukan macam cikgu sekolah pengsan semua lecturer mogok. Dah lah nak kena publish, nak kena buat lesson plan pula tu. Jadi what I'm advocating is have this visualization in your mind so that we are aware of what we're doing in class. So being aware is important as well. So we do not want to focus too much on our, defining our learning outcome, the OBE part, kita buat sistem dan sebagainya. That is very good to facilitate sebenarnya. Tapi to give that aesthetic touch tadi kan, we have taken care of the scientific part, but now is the aesthetic part is actually deciding on the activities apa yang kita nak buat dekat dalam kelas tu. Jadi bila kita visualize macam ni, kita nampak lah. Dan kita boleh nampak sebenarnya, alamak aku ni asyik nak bagi quiz je. Aku ni asyik nak bagi, asyik nak buat flip grade je. So at least you can sense a variety of activities that you can do with your students. Okay?
So, Dr. Rose, ada soalan saya dari Nur Azura.
Azura. Follow through is the same as to counter or double check. Okay, follow through ni maksudnya bila kita dah ajar tentang, for example, thermodynamics, maybe fluid dynamics, for example. So they have learned all the forces, blah, blah, blah. So we ask them to use that knowledge of fluid dynamics into analyzing traffic flow. For example, how can you use the knowledge of fluid dynamics into deciding traffic flow and how to build roads dan sebagainya. So that is follow through, that's extended activity. Maksudnya yang inilah di mana kita boleh buat problem based learning, project based learning kat situ. Okay, dia dah belajar dah semua teori tu. The follow through, the extended is to help them retain that piece of knowledge and also to be able to apply it in various situations, various contexts. Okay, boleh Dr. Nur Azura? Okay, thank you. So that's a lot of people are confused with the ninth step. Ninth step tu adalah to be able to apply the knowledge in various places. That's where the relevance comes in. All right. So don't worry, I will give, no problem, Dr. Nazura. So I will give this presentation, don't worry. So nanti sekarang maybe Puan Fadlina dengan Puan Cari ni boleh inilah email kepada semua orang ya. Okay, now. Okay. Let me switch off my annotation. Okay. I want to bring you back to the ARCS model tadi sebab my learning design matrix tadi has built in all of this sebenarnya tapi tak nampak. Attention is tadi yang Gane punya, comes from Gane tadi. Gain attention from the students. If we do not gain their attention, dia tak akan follow pun kita punya pengajaran. Semalam my friend said, you know, my son masuk dekat dalam kelas online, he said just for the purpose of attendance. The teacher is talking there on Google Meet, but he's on his phone playing game. And then he told his mom, don't worry, I'm going to learn this on my own. So why even have the class in the first place when the kids are not listening? Kan, betul tak? Might as well buat asynchronous all the way. So if we don't gain their attention, if we don't spark their curiosity first, we cannot go to the next step, which is making the content relevant. Make the content relevant, build their confidence. Number 3, when they do their assignment, they are confident to use the knowledge. And then they will be satisfied. Number 4. So saya repeat ni balik sebab John Keller punya approach is more on the getting the students to be motivated to learn. Yeah, we can do so much with the materials, with the environment and sebagainya, but it is really up to the students whether to appreciate what we do or not. Kalau kita dah buat macam-macam, dia tak appreciate itu masalah dia lah. Tapi kita, as long as we have done the best for them, then insyaAllah, everything will be okay. And of course, I'm coming to the end. According to Eddie, there's implement, the implement phase. Tadi kita dah go through design and then actually develop, you know, your learning materials. Implement, when we implement, we need feedback from the students, whether what we're doing is okay, whether they are able to access, they are able to comprehend our, you know, materials. And then reflection, we reflect ourselves upon our way of doing things. Like I mentioned to you, masa saya buat apa ni workshop yang saya bagi group dan sebagainya, it doesn't work. That's my own reflection. I say, okay, no, this is not working. So I have to find another way on how to do it more effectively. So reflective practices is important, an important element when we teach our teachers, because I teach teachers kan. It's an important practice sebab kita nak tahu kat mana kita nak improve. So that, you know, all in the name of the students lah. Macam sekarang PDPR banyak cikgu-cikgu yang buat reflective practices. They say, okay, this doesn't work, Telegram doesn't work, what works, does Google Classroom work, and all that. And then we have to improve and adapt. Using your assessment information tadi to inform your teaching. Kalau ramai student tak boleh buat, maksudnya kita kena ajar balik. Tapi kalau ada 1 atau 2 orang, the beauty with online, you can do personalized coaching anytime sebenarnya. Even just through WhatsApp pun tak apa, right? Tak payah nak ada face-to-face macam ni pun tak apa. As long as kita intervene, ada intervention lah. Okay, Iskandar Adun asks, what is the best practice for synchronous and asynchronous online teaching? Ratio. Okay, there is no specific number. Nobody has been able to prove that yet because why? It is very subjective. Ada yang suka buat asynchronous all the way with a touch of synchronous. Ada yang prefer synchronous because they're so used to lecturing. But to me, of course, get feedback from your students, what is best for them. They would actually love to do synchronous sebenarnya. dalam hati kecil dia, deep in their hearts, because they want to see their friends, they want to see their lecturers, for the personalized touch. So to me, my advice is do have synchronous sessions, but not elaborated ones. You can probably meet once in 2 weeks, depending upon, again, the analysis of your students on their devices, on their data, whatever. But do have that synchronous punya session from time to time, because we need this human touch. This is the best human touch that we can have right now. Ataupun boleh, buat voice note. Voice notes can be very engaging, because if you don't get to see the face, at least you hear the voice. So that is personalized as well. Okay, and I emphasize a lot on going towards individualized approach of learning. Yang tadi kita dah bercakap tentang, opening up senses dan sebagainya. Different people learn differently. So as many as you can do a variety of stimulus. Bukan untuk macam satu topik, you nak bercakap tentang satu perkara saja. Contohnya tadi falsafah pendidikan kebahasaan. Nak cakap pasal itu sahaja. Bukan bermaksud perkara yang sama kita kena buat video, kita kena buat, kita kena bagi slide, kita kan tidak. Tapi mungkin this first part I'm going to give you a video. The second part I'm going to give you something to read. Have that variety in that sense. Macam saya punya learning design matrix tadi kan. I'll go back to it. This one. Okay. For different parts is different stimulants. Tak perlulah untuk satu LO tu nak cakap benda yang sama kena ada macam-macam. Tidak. That's a misconception. Right? But you give different types of materials or different types of media throughout your lesson. Untuk yang ni kita bagi video, untuk yang ni kita buat live, untuk yang ni kita bagi samping membaca. So kita dah attack semua senses sebenarnya. Okay, you know right that learning styles is a myth. Like ada orang ni kena visual saja, kena kinesthetic saja. It's a myth. We choose. Actually, we can choose. Yeah. Nurul Shazana said, do you share your plan of how the learning will be conducted before class with the student? No, I don't. I just buat apa ni, kalau dia orang kena buat assignment semua yang ada kat Google Classroom je lah. I don't share my lesson plan with them. Okay, that's for me. My lesson plan is for me. It's my design. Okay. What I want to do lah basically. Kita punya cheat sheet lah basically. Yeah. So that's implement, and finally, of course, you have to evaluate how you teach frequently, evaluate your module frequently, have different checkpoints. Dekat sini I nak check, okay ke tidak? Student dapat ke tidak? Like I said, chunk your activities into manageable ones. Tak perlu elaborate ones. Okay? Nurul Shazana, for example, there's continuous talking. I will be only. I don't really get your question, Nurul Shazana. Okay, maybe you can rephrase a bit. Okay, so with that, this is my last slide sebenarnya. Content precedes design. Design in the absence of content is not design, it is decoration. Why? Because kita kadang-kadang lemas dengan terlalu banyak tools. Terlalu banyak benda-benda yang fancy kan, orang ajar tool ni kita pakai, orang ajar tool ni kita pakai. Sometimes we get lost in there. So it's just decoration. Apa yang kita nak ajar budak sebenarnya. For me, minimize the decoration, minimize the tools, minimize the fancy stuff, but get the message across. If I like to use her as an example, Prof. Dato Asma, ex-VC of USM. You can sit in front of the computer and listen to her for hours and hours, you won't get bored. One, because she's an eloquent speaker. Number two, because everything that she says is a point that kita nak tulis. Kita nak tulis semua. Right? So that's what an impactful experience is. They want to remember that. Okay, they don't want to remember the tool so much, but they want to remember you as the instructor. Macam tadi, going back to the memory that you had about the best learning experience, most of you wrote the teacher. Most of you. Cikgu buat ni, cikgu menyanyi, cikgu suruh kita buat ni, cikgu rotan, semuanya cikgu. So at the end of the day, we are the most important tool in the classroom. Alright? Yeah, too many tools to handle, definitely. Okay. Nurul Shazana, it will be only for you and for your own self. Don't you think this will be wondering what next episode of the topik tu memang diorang dah tahu from the course outline. Kan, topik tu daripada course outline. Lepas ni kita nak baca. Tapi the plan tu is for me lah. Right? The topic is, of course, everybody will know what they're going to learn. Okay? Thank you, Nurul Shazana. As educator, we can select suitable tool. Yes, selecting suitable tool. For me, I would recommend not more than 5 for one class. Maybe you have your LMS already, and then one for, you know, the document, macam assignment dia nak submit dalam Google Docs ke, dalam, you want to use a Google application or you want to use Microsoft Word ke benda. And then you have the interactive tool. You nak buat quiz, maybe pakai quiz is ke apa. Do not worry about, you know, alah nanti student boring asyik pakai quiz is je. What is the intention of you choosing that tool? It's easy, satu. Yang kedua, yang paling penting adalah you nak sampai ke content sebenarnya. Like this point that Jeffrey Zapman made. Content precedes design. Kalau content tu sampai melalui quiz is, pakailah quiz is. Okay? Jangan risau, student dia kalau dia nak boring, kita bagi 10 tu, dia akan boring. Tapi kalau konten kita bagus dan kita memang lecturer yang memorable, you pakai, saya tak pakai slide pun, saya pakai PDF je sebenarnya. This is just PDF. Because I find that PDF is, you know, one of the most stable formats to go through the video conferencing. So, kalau pakai macam PowerPoint ke, pakai Keynote kadang-kadang dia sangkut. Pakai PDF sebab dia dokumen kan? Jadi dia tak adalah nak deal dengan all those extra animation dan sebagainya. So I just do it flat. One tip that I would like to give you, if you were to use slides or visuals for your live session, video conferencing, buat as simple as possible. And jangan ada animation sangat. Kecuali you nak keluarkan perkataan tu satu-satu. Tapi tak payah terbang-terbang, buat dia appear je. Sebab nanti kalau orang yang internet slow, dia tak nampak pun animation tu, dia tak appreciate pun. Lepas tu yang kedua, dia tak nampak kalau terlalu banyak design. Kalau dia tengok kat dalam mobile phone, yang dia nampak perkataan, dia nak tengok perkataan, dia tak nak tengok all those fancy stuff. Alright, if you do not need to put pictures, you don't have to put pictures. So at this point of time, minimalist is the best. So I delivered one workshop on minimalist approach to teaching and learning online. And tak perlu keluar daripada video conferencing tu pun sebenarnya. Okay, Nur Maimun cakap, is the best way to share feedback with students on the assessment if we have too many students in the class? Should we give feedback randomly? Okay, maybe you can, you know, secretly divide your class into 3 or 4. This assignment kita bagi feedback kat group 1. This assignment kita bagi feedback kat group 2. Randomly lah, dia orang tak tahu pun siapa yang dalam group tu, kita lah sendiri kan yang pilih. Tapi as long as, you know, kalau kita buat portfolio, mungkin ada button like, we can always like them. Macam Facebook, kita like je, kita tak payah komen pun. Kita nampak ada, okay, kita like, and then 1 or 2, you know, half of the class kita ada bagi komen sikit-sikit dan sebagainya. So they have to feel your presence. Tu je. Dia nak tahu kita care. Oh, lecturer ni care about me. Oh, dia baca lah sebenarnya. Dia, last week I received a plagiarized work from a master student. Kan dia nak buat research proposal. From a potential PhD student. Dia buat plagiarized work sebab agaknya dia kata, mungkin lecturer tak baca lah. So bagi je lah, dia bukannya baca pun. Kita tak nak student assume lecturer tak baca. Jadi dia buat je apa-apa. Kita nak make our presence felt. That's all. As long kita ada type ke, kita tulis kita apa ni. Maybe if in a page you read like one paragraph and just comment on that one paragraph. Sikit-sikit lah. As long as dia nampak kita macam kita lurking dekat situ. Oh, dia nampak lah, dia baca lah. Macam tu lah. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. No, saya minta maaf tau, saya tak tahu siapa doktor, siapa professor, but you're all my brothers and sisters in education. Yes, we must read our students' work, every piece definitely. Boleh jadi bedtime story sometimes. Okay, so that's my last slide. It's 11:56, and I think there's a lot of questions already answered in the chat box. You can reach me on my email, and I have a website which I have not updated for so long, but you're welcome to visit. So thank you so much for your participation. I know maybe the organizer, do you want to open up for a question like over the mic, or you're okay? I would like to thank you for inviting me, UUM team, UTLC, for having me today, this morning, and I hope that all of you have learned at least one thing and can take back and practice it. And please spread the knowledge to others. You can share my slides and use them, no problem. Okay, back to you.